It is Monday, November 1st, the day after Halloween, and I'm sick. I have some kind of bug. My voice is gone. I have a raging case of pink eye this morning. I'm not wearing any makeup, and I am so sad today. And I just needed to get it out. There was a great quote that I just read in a book, Disability Visibility. And the quote says, "Now I understand the exchange of silence for the comfort of others as oppression." Now I understand the exchange of silence for the comfort of others as oppression. It was by Sandy Ho in an essay she wrote. And I feel like if I don't speak up right now, I'm going to be changing or exchanging the comfort of others for my silence. And what's bringing this up is yesterday I saw that the Canadian Supreme Court ruled in favor of a comedian who has been making really horrible, cruel jokes about a young man who has a condition called Treacher's-Collins syndrome. And Treacher's-Collins has a lot of physical deformity, physical difference, facial difference associated with it. And this young man had put himself out as a singer, and the comedian was making jokes about him, and the jokes turned to being very cruel jokes about this young man's physical appearance, calling him fucking ugly and saying that his hearing devices were amplifiers or subwoofers on his head, and all these other cruel things. And so the family sued, and the comedian won. It was a free speech case. And you know, the conversation about free speech versus hate speech, and I don't know enough of the particulars of the case to understand the legalities of where that lies, especially in the Canadian judicial system. But what came down was, and I have to read it to you here, the decision by the Supreme Court Justice, the lead justice who wrote the decision. He said that that those jokes do, quote, not simply by being repugnant incite others to detest or vilify the humanity of the person targeted. They exploited, rightly or wrongly, a feeling of discomfort in order to entertain, but they did little more than that. They did little more than incite feelings of discomfort in order to entertain. It just breaks my heart reading the ignorance in that statement. And I think back on my own experience growing up. And Halloween is a great time of year to be talking about this, because as somebody with a facial difference, Halloween was awful. I would go to school and people would say to me, "Oh, what's your Halloween costume? Oh, wait, you don't need one because your face is already it." Or, "You're ugly enough, you don't need a mask." Or any derivation of that. And I would get that stuff, every year around Halloween. But overly intrusive stares and comments, hurtful things people said to me. This stuff didn't just happen occasionally. It didn't just happen a couple times a year. It didn't just happen a few times a month. It happened every single day. It happened hourly. It still happens. And I am a grown woman, happily installed in middle age here, and I still get this. And I know my situation, my experience is not uncommon. For this Supreme Court justice to say that these kinds of jokes create a feeling of discomfort in order to entertain, but they did little more than that. Do you know what those jokes did to that young man? Do you know what those jokes did to the entire community of people with facial difference. Do you know what those comments did to me and people like me? They do devalue our humanity. They do tell us we are less than, and it just makes the headwinds of what we have to get through every day that much harder. It's that much more work to pick myself up, for this young man to pick himself back up, for anybody else with facial difference to pick themselves back up after yet another rude comment, after yet another overly intrusive stare. We have to do it time and time and time, and it's exhausting. And those kinds of jokes not only hurt us, but they hurt everybody. The humanity. I mean, it does incite others to pick up on that anger and that hatred and to continue it. There were so many times on the playground, and even as an adult, where one person would start it and others who may not have had the guts to start it, once they saw that they could jump into it, jumped into it and just loaded on. And that's what these comments do. That's what that ignorance does. It infects everybody around them. And even people who have to walk away. I mean, you still have to make a decision like, ooh, is this right? Is this wrong? I haven't really encountered this before. I'm really trying to find compassion for this comedian who, for whatever reason, thinks tearing others down like that is funny, that that's the limit of his comedic talent, that he's not more inspired to see other things that can be funnier and that can be funny and healing and funny and uplifting and funny and educating and funny and enlightening. Not funny and degrading and funny and insulting and funny and hurtful. It's not funny. And why do we even have to say that to a middle-aged man who has, had a professional career in comedy for this many years? So I'm working really hard right now to try to find compassion for him. And I go back to being on the playground and all the kids who would pick on me, and as an adult, all the people who pick on me. Like, I have to dig deep and realize that in order to help educate them and enlighten them, I can't fight them with anger. I can't fight them at all. I just have to hold a space of compassion for them and help them see better, do better, come into a different place in their heart and find empathy instead of this cruelty. And I don't know how to do that right now.